I'm sure you know that poly bagging is great for manual entry-level packaging as well as high-speed fully automatic applications. Today I'm going to teach you how to streamline your process and take it to the next level. I'm Greg Berguig, Vice President of Sales and Marketing at PAC Machinery, and after this you're going to become an expert on poly bagging. Now, many people think about poly bagging and you think about fully automatic applications, right? You have a hopper, as you can see here, that's filled with bin of product. It takes it up to an elevating conveyor where it'll then go to a bowl feeder. The bowl feeder will orient the product. It goes down a track. It counts the item. It puts it through a funnel. The funnel goes into a bag. The bag probably has some type of printing on it, and then it seals it, separates it. Maybe you have some type of reject system. It goes into a case. The case counts. It moves it along. I mean, that's great, and that's fantastic if you have those volumes and that need of system. But there's many other ways that poly bagging will work for what you're doing. And really, to start, we got to take it back, all the way back to manual packaging. Now, all of you know about these tabletop impulse sealers. That's a great way to start your process, right? No matter the stage of your business, a lot of times you have applications where somebody takes a bag, they seal it, they apply a label, and that can work. But once you start to expand, or you use a reclosable zipper bag, that's usually not the best way of getting product out the door, right? I mean, it works well for here and there, but it's not ideal. Enter in automatic poly bagging. Just take a look at what's happening here with the mass packaging, right? It's so much faster than what we just saw. You got one person packing at nearly 30 products a minute. I think nearly 30 minutes is not a lot, but if I just do some quick math in my head, I probably have over 10,000 packs a shift with one person. Truly unbelievable. A lot of times you'll even want to put a label on the bag, right? That's great. Our poly baggers, like our R785 that you see here, will actually print and apply a label directly on the bag, right? So you can use clear bags, you can barcode, skew, whatever you need. Make that as part of all one process. And if you really want, you can even print directly on the bag. Here you see our Rollbag R1285. It's printing directly on the bag. You have these high graphic printed bags, which are sweet. And also, this is a new bag material for us. This is our Wrestling blend of bag material. It is a environmentally conscious material. It has over 50% recycled content, and 20% of the content of the bag is with consumer recycled content, right? So this is product that consumers took and actually recycled, and then we were able to use those resins in our bag material. And it's super strong. Now, most baggers use pre-opened bags on a roll. You can see that here. It's being loaded into the bagger, right? It's put through. I mean, you've seen them. It goes on the tabletops. It goes on the floor standing baggers. Great way of doing it. Tends to be, baggers tend to be much better than other applications for certain things. Think about like vertical form, fill, and seal, right? Where, I've got to deal with forming collars and a whole bunch of other stuff. A bagger is inexpensive, it's fast, and it's really easy with a lot of changeover. And we make all the materials for our baggers, right? Whether it's pre-opened bags on a roll, we can also do those fans folded in a box, as you'll see. To ensure that the machines run optimally, right? So that's what we want, maximum uptime. In addition, we can our systems work with poly tubing, and this is really cool since instead of having a pre-made bag, it's got tubing that works with it, and the bagger actually has a bag maker built into it that makes the bag to length, right? So think about you use maybe 4x6s, 4x8s, 4x10s, or 5x7s. Right now, and then you can standardize on one width and then vary the length. Our larger floor standing baggers work with both poly tubings as well as pre-made bags. You can see that here. This is the poly tubing for packaging of face shields, right? It's the tubing comes out, it blows the bag open, you load it with product. You got flattener fingers that stretch the bag prior to sealing to minimize any wrinkles. You can print a barcode, you can print directly on the bag. It's really a great way of doing it. You can really go up to bags 22 inches wide, which allows for a lot of different applications, especially e-commerce fulfillment, which we'll talk about in a second. These baggers also work in the horizontal fashion. So our Magnum Horizontal, great for packaging long items or variable length items that are like filters, like you see, that are better packed horizontally than vertically. You know, people think about bagging and you see these hand packaging applications, and again, sometimes they think, well, I want to fully automate the process. But as you can see here, you can get quite a bit of speed out of hand packaging. I mean, this is one operator going over 60 cycles a minute. Again, that's 3,600 an hour, and I don't know how many thousands and tens of thousands per shift. So you can get a lot of output, certainly with hand packaging. Of course, there's many products where a fully automatic system will make more sense, and you can get pretty sophisticated. As you see here, this is an application for packaging of springs, right? So the springs are stuck together, you got to pull them apart, you got one conveyor, you got another conveyor, you got scales. There's a lot of different things that happen where something fully automatic might make sense, especially if you're running the system constantly. I mean, that's very important with automatic feeding systems, is to keep it running constantly. So another way of doing it, and we call this kind of our hybrid approach, right, is where you have an operator that's doing like a weight count application, right? So you do a tare weight on a product, they feed it into a bucket with a load cell. Really quick way of getting to the accurate count, and then as soon as the count is reached, it dispenses the product into a bag. This is really a great way of doing it. You have applications where, by hand they're doing just a couple a minute. I mean, you can get somewhere between 10 to 20 a minute with applications like this. So basically the idea is it's a low cost investment, and it helps optimize your polybagging process. And sometimes you want to have something fully automatic, right? Where there's robots. I mean, this is pretty cool. Robotic assembly of products, right? They're putting something together. They were doing this by hand before, and then it's going onto a feeding conveyor. A really simple way of loading bulk items into a bag, automating that. Goes right into a feeding conveyor and then into the bagger. And speaking of robots, I mean, the technology has come dramatically, in the past couple of years. And a lot of times you think of robots, high volume, really expensive. You think automotive, things along those lines. I mean, here you have a robot basically picking random items out of a bin, right? So it's got a vision system, it's got the software, it's got the grasping. It picks random items out of a bin. It can orient them and drop them into a bag, right? So, is your production only open for one shift? Is it open for 2 shifts, right? Can you not find people to work all those shifts or to do what you need? With a robot, really, you can have, you have a person that we call the bot tender that is able to feed that bagging system. Really good for e-commerce fulfillment type applications where it's a lot of random products that needs to be picked and dropped into a bag. Speaking of e-commerce applications, there's what's great about automatic baggers, especially when you use poly mailers, so like white gray or opaque mailers, right, is for shipping of goods, right? And your baggers typically, if you configure them right, you can use them for your packaging as well as your shipping. In this case, you're scanning an order that goes to the WMS system, and then it prints directly on the bag, or it prints and applies a label, feeds it out, and you can load in a product very quickly. Helps with that tremendous growth that the e-commerce fulfillment is seeing. While you saw a tabletop system before, this is a larger floor standing automatic bagger for e-commerce fulfillment using poly mailers. What's really neat about this system is that it squares the bag open, right? So you think about big products that need to be dropped in, it squares the bag open, it prints the shipping information directly onto the bag, and then the bag will drop down to an outfeed conveyor and be taken away. And I think that's something really important to look at your process, right? So I put the product in the bag, what happens next? And a lot of people out there, we see them, it just drops into a bin right below, and then operators go pick it up, empty out the bin, and they're spending a lot of time doing that. You can look at outfeed conveyors, and we can discuss that with you to basically take the product away to the next step of the packaging operation. And our baggers can also be used for medical applications, right? So you think about products, medical devices and things like that are packaged in Tyvek poly pouches or metallized polyester. Because we have a special bag maker assembly, we can use Tyvek poly tubing. We can make the bag to length. We can print and apply a label or print directly onto the bag and then fill it. It's much faster than hand bagging for medical devices, especially when validation is required. And it can be faster, right? So here you see somebody packing by hand. These are COVID swabs. Our medical baggers were a result of our engineering team's ability to innovate and work hand in hand with our customers to develop custom systems. So I think that's important, right? You want a partner that It's going to understand your requirements. That's going to dig a little deeper. That's going to help you optimize your process. I mean, here you see a system we developed where it's got an integrated vacuum system in it, right? So a lot of our customers, they want to vacuum the air out of the bag for hermetic purposes. And then, you know, people talk about polybagging, but we talk about automatic baggers, but there's a variety of different ways it can be done. And when you work with PAC Machinery and our team, we can help you find the optimal solution, not just what you think you need, right? So here you see liquid for spill containment. You know, that's a great application. In this next video, you see our Rollbag R785, packaging, you know, popsicles or paletas. You know, you don't often think about that being done in a bagger, typically a flow wrapper, but for many customers, either ice cream or cookies, things like that, an automatic bagger prints and applies a label on the bag, or you have pre-printed bags, works as a great solution. So this was our overview of automatic polybagging. I hope you found it informative, and I look forward to hearing some questions from you guys.